I'm gonna describe to you the reason that people who are on side with vaccines are on the side of vaccines. This is a cultural difference in our mind, in the way that we view society. People who have been getting vaccines, they haven't been doing a good job of explaining to anybody why they believe this. And I think that this is the main division between the anti-vaxxers and the people who aren't. Both sides think the other is a group of idiots. All of the anti-vaxxers believe that people are getting the vaccine because they're sheep, because they can't use free thought to make decisions for themselves. So they're just going along with what the government says. Please tell us what to do, government. We don't know. We're stupid. That's a great argument. I agree with you wholeheartedly that the science isn't 100% perfect and that every single number isn't perfect. We are a community, having to look out for one another and work together using a common intelligence with a common goal. This is the goal of every society, large or small, since the beginning of time. This is why the masses have no patience for individuals. This is a term that they use that they feel is endearing, is that they're an independent thinker. But there's a difference between being an intelligent, independent thinker and doing the exact opposite of what people smarter than you are asking of you for your country and for your community. If you lived in a tribe in Papua New Guinea of 30 people, you have different areas of expertise, and everybody works together for the safety and the progress of the tribe. Here's what happens if you sit there on a log and say, everyone's out to get me, this tribe is bullshit, our leadership team is completely corrupt, I'm gonna do it my way, I'm the patriot of this tribe. You get exiled, at best. The best case scenario is you get kicked out of the tribe. Worst case, you probably get eaten, because there's actually a lot of cannibals in Papua New Guinea. So there's more to it than compliance. There's more to it than data. There's more to it than listening to the experts. It takes an exceptionally smart person to realize that they are not the smartest person. If you look at any successful person in the world, they all have something in common: surrounding themselves with people who are smarter than them. If you truly believe you're the smartest and the best, if you truly believe that everyone else is out there to get you, you will fail. You need the humbleness and the humility to understand that you always have something to learn. And at the end of the day, the worst virologist in the world knows more about viruses than the best mechanic in the world. For some reason, the medical field and doctors are the only people that we just stopped trusting. They are the experts in these fields. And to do the opposite of what an expert advises doesn't make you intelligent. I feel sorry for the medical field because they get death threats for doing their job. No other field is questioned like the medical field is. Could you imagine building a skyscraper without an architect and an engineer? But why not? You know more than everybody, right? Why would an architect know more than you? Why would an engineer know more than you? Oh, because they went to university for it. Because they have skills and expertise. Because they spend every day doing that. That's why buildings don't fall over all over the world. Now, we could just go out on our own and just build whatever we wanted. But guess what? It'd be a huge risk to society. Buildings would be collapsing all the time. You could never have a building that's over 4 stories tall because we just would have no clue what we're doing. So we just trust that engineers can build a better building than us. So why don't we trust that a virologist would know more about viruses than us? Now, if you committed murder, wouldn't you rather have the top lawyers on your side that understand the law to help plead your case, to hopefully spend less time in jail? Wouldn't you trust that person over your own understanding of law, which is extremely complicated? Wouldn't you entrust your lives to a lawyer? Don't you forgo your independence and your patriotism and your stubbornness and just defer to a person who knows more than you, and you put your lives in their hands? When you're using experts, You gotta trust them. You just have to, even if they're not right all the time. Even if your lawyer says one thing that gets the jury thinking, lock them up, throw away the key. And that does sometimes happen. There is no 100% certainty that a lawyer is gonna make sure that you walk away from a homicide. In the same way that no CDC guidance is gonna be 100% correct, and no vaccine is gonna be 100% effective against COVID. We understand that there is a margin for error and that everybody is different and every case is different and everything is fluid. The numbers say, if you go with the data, if you work with experts instead of not, you will win more times than not. If you want to take a stand against misinformation, and yeah, we'll join you in that stand. We don't like fake news either. But you also have to take pause and understand that absolutely no information is 100% accurate. None. Not just mainstream. Blog writers, big, small, mainstream, not mainstream, podcasters, doesn't matter if you're dark web or YouTube. Every single person who writes anything is trying to get clicks. All of them. So you have to get it out of your mind that, mainstream media is just, pumping us full of, fear and propaganda and fake news just to make money, right? They're this big, faceless conglomerate that's out to destroy society for their own benefit. What do you think the conspiracy theory podcaster's goal is? Do you think that that's to wake you up? Or is that because conspiracy theory content gets more clicks than mainstream boring news? Think about that for a second. Like, I'm on TikTok. I spend a lot of time on there. And there's one thing that I've noticed. I follow some people who try to report news as good as they can. They try to keep it really honest and try to really sift through the facts from the garbage and just give it to you straight. Those accounts are small. They can't grow. Nobody cares about the truth. Do you know what news TikTokers have millions and millions and millions of followers? The ones selling conspiracy as fact. The ones telling stories from 5 years ago that were kind of a rumor for a day and then immediately disproven, and they talk about it like it's current and happening and important. So I get the issue with mainstream media, but guys, you gotta stop acting this woke because you follow a conspiracy theory YouTuber. Going against the grain and being contrarian doesn't make you smarter than anybody. I promise you, this person that you look up to, they are still speaking directly to your already pre-existing bias. You are giving into the hysteria that is this, yeah, I knew it. I've always been anti-big government. I've always been anti-agenda. And this person's speaking to me. They get me. When you're in that headspace, with that information that's being delivered to you, you are just as much of a sheep as anybody else. You have to come to terms with the fact that you are absolutely brainwashed by anything confirming what you already fear or believe. Society has to work as one to defeat COVID. It just does. And here's the thing. Even if you don't believe COVID is real, if you don't believe it's dangerous, if you don't believe that the 4.3 million deaths is a real number, if you don't believe that in Jakarta and Delhi and Brazil, all these ditches that they're digging for graves because there's no more room for bodies, if you believe that those pictures are all made up, if you believe that of course those people will die, it's because they're a third world country. They just don't have the same support as us. Well, I would say just look at the 600,000 people who died in first world country, United States of America. Maybe you've heard of them. Yes, those numbers aren't real either. Sure, a lot of people have died, guys. A lot have. To go forward in the best way possible, we need to get over COVID. This is what the world has decided. An uprising of 20% of people who want to walk through the streets with pitchforks, you're just embarrassing yourself and you're stopping the progress of the world. You are impeding us from meeting the goal that we should all have, which is get past this. The thing is, there's something that we've known about every virus since the beginning of viruses. They replicate and mutate faster in people who are unvaccinated. This is 250 years of research. This isn't just made up. This isn't just propaganda. This is the facts. And if you don't believe it's the facts, if you don't believe the medical science, let's just tap into your common sense for a second. Vaccines help your body understand what it's facing so that when it comes, when it's introduced, it's more prepared to fight it. Again, not 100% effective, but it will help you. It's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And your system doesn't know what COVID is. It was created under an extraordinary circumstance, which requires an extraordinary response. You can't just expect our bodies to just defeat something simply that shouldn't be there in the first place. This is a problem that we created and a problem that we need to fix. It makes me think of a story. So in my spare time, I'm a bartender, and at one point there was an issue. There was a fraud that was starting to pop off. There was a group of people that were going into different restaurants looking to purchase gift cards from that restaurant. And then they would basically distract you, they'd get you to go grab a manager, and they would basically end up stealing that gift card. And it would be big, it'd be like a $300 gift card that they had no intention of paying for. And once it's a gift card, it's basically cash. So they got away with it at every single place that they went. Eventually, all of the bars in town started to talk, and they said, listen, this is something that's going around. This is what these people look like. This is the scam. This is how the scam looks. You gotta make sure that you watch out for this and this and this. Everybody sort of wised up and became a little bit more aware of the scam. They kind of saw it coming before it got a chance to get started. Now, it wasn't 100% effective. Not every restaurant knew about it. You didn't always get a person who was willing to stand up for themselves or go through the protocols that were in place to prevent this from happening. But basically, it got to a point where so many people were wise to the scam that the scam no longer was worth performing. The group just gave up. This is what a vaccine is. Your system is the bar, and COVID is that person that's trying to break in and steal from your bar. The more prepared your body is for this, the better. Yes, it's not 100% effective. They are still gonna manage to steal, but the goal is that the virus has such a hard time getting to its goal that it just goes away, that it eventually just dies. The more bars that know about this scam, the better. If you had 100% of bars having a full protocol in place, this scam could not exist. That's where we're trying to get with vaccines. Viruses cannot replicate inside our bodies at the exact same rate if our bodies are prepared for that virus, if they know that it's coming. If they recognize it the second you get that one dot in your nostril, and they're like, whoa, we've seen this before. This is COVID. Attack. It can't just slide under the radar and wreak havoc on our systems. And when you wreak havoc on an unprepared system, you're creating more virus, it's multiplying in your body, and there's more time for mutations. Yes, people who are vaccinated are still shedding virus. They can still carry the virus. 100% true. That is how it works. But these people aren't getting seriously ill. They're handling it like a regular flu. A lot of these people have mild or no symptoms, and their systems eradicate the virus faster than it would if your system was not prepared for it. The reason that we went from one kind of COVID to alpha, to the next version, to the next version, to the next version, to the B whatever the hell, and Delta that we're at now is because of the replication. It's because in countries where there's less vaccination rates and more transmission and more sick people is there's more mutations. This is why we haven't been able to beat this, is because we're not working together. This is not a situation where planting your flag for your own pride matters anymore. We are 1.5 years into a never-ending virus that never will end if we keep just fighting over the semantics around it. That's all I got for now. I'm sure I could talk for hours and hours and hours about this because I do. I get in a lot of debates with friends about this. And so, take it for what it is. Good talking to you, bud. Deuces.